As a man, you can have love, appreciation, and respect from your wife. But whether you like it or not, you don't deserve it. You have to fight for it and earn it. The crazy thing is 90% of men are lacking these core aspects of a healthy relationship. And despite being successful in making money and providing for their family, they are stuck in lifeless, sexless, loveless marriages. It doesn't need to be this way. In today's podcast episode, I'm gonna break down how to get appreciation and respect from your wife in 30 days or less using just 5 simple steps. So if you want more love, sex, appreciation from your wife, then take note, this will help you immensely. If you get value from this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up or 5 stars so we can help more men and keep more families together. The first step is communicating the pressure. So many men grind, busting their balls, sacrificing their health and their happiness in the pursuit of success. And we do this for 2 reasons. 1, we have an ego and we want to grow and expand. That's why wars happen. That's why men build things. But 2, we want to protect and provide out for our families. We want to give them the life that they deserve. Now, the problem is that so many men, I was one of them, 1,000 of our clients were in the same boat. We feel this immense pressure and stress every single day. We grind only to come home feeling this lack of appreciation. Our wife's upset because we work too much. She's angry about something. We're expected to help out with the kids, help out around the house, help out with dinner, even though we've been grinding all day, and this disconnection begins to occur. This all happens because our partner doesn't truly understand the weight of the world on our shoulders. She doesn't understand the pressure that we feel every single day. And in her defense, we also don't understand what she feels every single day. How could we when we both have completely separate lives? This happened in my relationship with my wife, Rosie. I was upset at her because the house was a mess or there were dishes in the sink. I thought her job was easy, and she was upset at me because she felt like I worked too much. But like you can probably relate, she can't relate. As soon as our daughter was born, I felt this huge amount of weight. I felt like I needed to provide, I needed to work harder, I needed to provide safety and security. I started thinking, what happens if my life ends and my family's left with debt and properties and all these things that I haven't provided for them? What I used to do was just work, finish the day, and Rosie would say, "How was your day?" My response would be, "It was fine." I'd grunt and I'd pretend like everything was okay. When inside I was thinking about, how the fuck am I gonna pay these bills? That person just quit. All the pressure from running a business, taxes, team, putting out fires. My wife didn't understand any of it. Things began to change rapidly when I started communicating the pressure. Now, what I'm saying here is not to go and tell your wife that everything's fucked and everything's burning down and freak her out, but to say, today was a really rough day. I had an employee quit, a key employee, and I'm really fucking, feeling it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I'm not sure how I'm gonna handle it. Yeah, today was really rough. I had to deal with a shitty client. Communicating what happens day to day, how it affects you, how it makes you feel is extremely important. Because if your partner understands the shit you go through every day, if she truly understands, she's no longer going to be at your throat or upset. She's going to appreciate the work you're doing because she can see you. She's not there with you every single day. And if you don't communicate with her what's going on, then of course she's not going to appreciate or respect you. She's going to resent you for working too much. Now, communicating the pressure is the first step. However, it is a fucking deadly step if you don't combine it with the second step to get that appreciation and respect back. The second step is showing up and stepping up despite the pressure. It's extremely important for your partner to understand the pressure. But if they understand you're under pressure, they understand what you're going through and what you're feeling, and you show up as a asshole, a cunt, you're rude, you're arrogant, you're moody, you're triggered, you're stressed, and you take it out on your loved ones, then they're not going to appreciate and respect you. They're still going to resent you and be upset at you. For years, I did this in my business. I made great money, but every single day I felt that pressure. And yes, I communicated with my wife, but her response was, "So what?" Because when I came home, I was triggered and I was angry. I'd bottle up all the emotions of a work day and then I'd blow up over something stupid. Dishes in the sink or the house being a mess. My wife and I were at each other's throats constantly because I had lost control as a man. I'd lost control of my thoughts, struggling to switch off, constantly thinking about the workday, thinking about the fires to put out, thinking about the to-do list. You can probably relate. And then to switch off, I'd sedate myself with alcohol, numbing myself just so I could relax. And then because I drank alcohol, I'd get rude and arrogant towards my wife. Her and I were not seeing eye to eye. I wasn't showing up. I wasn't stepping up. I had lost control. I was triggered. I was angry. I was stressed. I was tired. I was anxious. I was burnt out. The second step to get appreciation and respect from anyone in your life is to show up and step up despite that pressure. And this is difficult to do. It's exactly why we coach men. We've coached over 1,000 because no one teaches you how to do this. How can you be a man who deals with shit all day, every day, has an immense amount of weight on the bar, taxes, bills, team members, putting out fires, and despite all of that, you're in control. You're able to switch off at the end of the day. You come home, and even though the day was fucking terrible, it was challenging, it pushed you to your limit. You come home with a smile. You come home and you're present with your family. Your wife needs help around the house, and instead of getting angry or upset that she hasn't done her job, you just help. You give her a back massage. You ask her how her day's going. You communicate with her. You show up for her. You show up for your kids. You show up for yourself. You show up for your team. You step up to another level despite how challenging it is. Think about what this does for the perception your wife has of who you are as a man. She understands how much pressure you feel. She understands how hard it is. And she can see that you're struggling. And even though it's challenging, she also sees you cool, calm, and in control. In her head, she goes, fuck, that's a strong man. Fuck, that's a powerful man. Despite the work pressure, despite what's going on for him, despite how hard he's working for our family to provide a life of freedom and abundance, despite how hard it is, he's still the man that I love. He's still a leader. He's still a role model. I'm inspired by him. I look up to him. I respect him. It's impossible for the people in your life not to respect you if they, one, understand what you're going through and how hard it is, and two, can see you showing up and stepping up despite how fucking hard it is. That's where respect comes from. It's earned. Because most men capitulate, do what I used to do, like most men do. They get angry, they get triggered, they take it out on their loved ones. When you flip that and show up and step up despite how hard it is, everyone in your life benefits. And you know this. You know that if you're in control and a leader, guess what? You'll get appreciation and respect. But you can't actually do that unless you implement the third step that most men struggle with, or most men don't even know about, or most men miss. And that third step is holding yourself to a higher standard. For so many of us, we get so busy from that pressure. We say we have no time. We sacrifice our health, our happiness, everything in the pursuit of success to provide for our family. And then we wonder why we're lacking appreciation and respect. Well, it's because we're not communicating the pressure. We're not showing up despite the pressure. But how could we show up and step up and be in control as modern day men when we drop our standards? When you have kids, when you're running a business that has a team and you're putting out fires, when you have no time and you're busy, the first standards that we begin to drop is the standards within. We stop eating well and exercising. We start eating shitty food because it's convenient. We stop making time for hobbies and enjoying life. And we're constantly in the grind, sacrificing our health physically and mentally, not doing anything to switch off and enjoy life. Therefore, because these standards drop, how could we possibly be in control? During the most successful times in my business a few years ago, money was fucking fantastic. I was hiring, I was firing, I was putting out fires, building systems. I stopped eating well, I stopped exercising. I got a gut. And when I came home, I was triggered and stressed. I wasn't showing up or stepping up because I dropped my standards. The solution here is to hold yourself to a higher standard. It's to do the shit that makes you a better man, no matter how busy or stressed you are. Now, I understand that's difficult to do. When you've got children, a business, trying to provide, it's difficult to put yourself first, but that's why so many men struggle, because they don't know how to do that. It's also why the Empowered Man exists. We've helped over 1,000 men do that. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, you eat well, you exercise, you upgrade yourself, you work on yourself and your business, you treat yourself with self-love, self-respect, and self-care. It's impossible for your partner, your team, your kids not to see that. You're showing up and stepping up, and you're doing that by working on you, by upgrading yourself. People are going to see a better version of you, a better version of you, a better version of you. And if they see a better version of you, you're going to outclass every other man on the fucking playing field. Because as men, it is a competition. Every man's trying to get your money. Every man's trying to get your wife. Every man's trying to be the best version of himself. Some men don't even fucking try. When you upgrade, you hold yourself to a higher standard with non-negotiable things you do each day for you, physically, mentally, emotionally. Your business grows, your relationship gets better. Everyone appreciates and respects you more because of the man you're showing up as, the man you're becoming. And you can't show up and step up unless you hold yourself to a higher standard. What this does is it inspires the people around you. It inspires them to be better, which is the fourth step we're about to get into. Quick message as well. If you're listening to this and you're like, fuck yeah, I want to be able to communicate with my partner or wife. I want her to understand the pressure I feel. I want to be able to show up and step up and be in control in my business and in my relationships. I want to have higher standards. I want to be elite. I want to be the best man I can be. If you want all those things, but you don't know how to achieve them, then it means you're lacking a plan. You don't have a system. You don't have a process. How do you become successful in business? You follow a process. That's exactly why the Empowered Man method exists. If you click the first link in the description down below, you'll be able to get a custom Empowered Man roadmap with my Empowered Man team. Just click the link, book a coaching session, and we'll build out a roadmap on how to have success in your health, wealth, and relationships, how you can get the appreciation and respect back. We'll build this roadmap out for free. Whether you become a client or not, it will help you. And sure, you might work with us and join a team of over 250 men, business owners, husbands, and fathers who are winning in life. So if you want appreciation and respect back, you want to raise your standards and become the best man you can be, go down below and book a coaching session with our team right now. The fourth step here is extremely important, and it's not just to hold yourself to a higher standard, but it's to hold your wife to a higher standard as well. What does this mean? It means not accepting any bullshit, not accepting her dropping her standards. If she gets overweight, if she stops eating well and exercising, if she goes into victim mentality, if she doesn't do her role in the relationship, whether that's working or providing or being a housewife, if she drops her standards, you've got to be able to communicate effectively as a leader, as a man, to raise her standards back up. Now, this is extremely fucking difficult because I'm sure you've been in that situation like I used to experience all the time, where as a man, you want to make your wife fixed, you want to improve her, you want to support her, but you do it from a frame of judgment. The house is a mess, there's dishes in the sink. Instead of calmly and patiently supporting her so she levels up and is able to handle the pressure and workload she feels, what do we do instead? We get angry, we get triggered, we become judgmental. We're judgmental in our tonality. Why don't you do that thing? We're judgmental in our facial expression. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? We're judgmental in our body language. We're aggressive. When we judge anyone, that is the opposite of love. Now, the crazy thing about judgment, and this is crazy because it's going to affect your appreciation, your respect, your sex life, how you show up as a man in any relationship, whether it's with your wife, your kids, or your team. When we judge someone, what we're doing is we're comparing them to where we think they should be. Keyword here is where we think they should be. We have an expectation, often an unrealistic expectation of where they should be. Let me break it down in terms of what I've gone through. I'm a guy who has a multi-million-dollar business. I work hard, I grind, I hustle. I wasn't always like this. I've had to create this version of Tony. So I've got this expectation of my wife being on my level, but I wouldn't want her to be on my level because I'd fucking hate that because I'm very difficult to be around. So I have this expectation of where she should be. I judge her for not being there because she's here where she feels comfortable. I'm trying to raise her up to a level that's way past where she's comfortable. I judge her, and guess what happens to my wife? She feels like she's never good enough. She feels like she can't do anything to please me. So now she's trying to overcompensate for my expectation, my judgment. Guess what happens? She starts to resent me. She doesn't appreciate how hard I'm pushing her. She doesn't respect me because she feels like all I do is tell her what she does wrong. And the crazy thing is, if you do this or you've done it before, it's not intentional, but it actually takes you further away from what you want. As leaders, we want the people around us to grow. If you don't grow together, you grow apart. If you're growing in your business, you're growing personally, professionally, you're upgrading yourself as a man, but your partner is not upgrading, you're gonna grow apart. The solution here is to lead and hold your partner to a higher standard, hold her to a higher standard from a frame of inspiration, curiosity, understanding, and support. Let me repeat those ones. Inspiration, curiosity, understanding, and support. Inspiration means instead of telling her what to do for her to hold herself to a higher standard, you show her repeatedly by holding yourself to a higher standard. Curiosity means that you're curious about how she can improve. Instead of telling her what to do, you're like, have you thought about doing this? How are you feeling? You ask questions. That curiosity, those questions you ask, instead of telling, you're asking, that builds understanding. You start to understand why she's dropped her standards. You start to understand why she operates the way she does, instead of just berating her and yelling at her. And what this does is it creates support. It gives you the tools through understanding her, through being curious, through being empathetic, to support her and give her the support she needs, not what you think she needs, to raise up. This has happened with my wife, Rosie. She's currently doing a course. It was like 7 or 8 grand. I invested in it. And she chose to do that course because she could see that I was driven, I was succeeding, I was upgrading myself, holding myself to a higher standard. She appreciated and respected that, but she felt like she was falling behind. So I got curious. Well, what do you think you need to do? I think I need a mentor. Okay, and why do you need that? Oh, because I need support. Okay, well, how can I support you? Well, can you pay for it? Now she's doing this course. She's less triggered at my daughter. We're having more sex. She's more loving, she's giving me more because she's holding herself to a higher standard. But I was there supporting her, holding her to a higher standard. And you can see how these 4 things come together. She understands the pressure I feel. Number 1, I communicate. Number 2, I show up anyway. Number 3, I hold myself to a higher standard and I bring her along with me through inspiration, through curiosity, through understanding, and through support. This elevates her, we grow together, we both have appreciation and respect for one another. Now, all these 4 steps are extremely important, but the 5th one ties it all together, and you need it in place if you want to keep that appreciation and respect. The final step is being able to emotionally relate and fix problems at the right times. These are 2 completely separate things. I've thought for years that as a leader, my job is to fix things. My wife's upset, I need to fix it. My wife's triggered, I need to fix it. Fire in my business, I need to fix it. Now, there are parallels in business and relationships, but there are often things you don't want to do in your marriage. And so many men try to fix things in their relationship by fixing their partner, instead of knowing when to emotionally relate to their partner. Now, we're going to do a podcast about this in the future, so make sure you're subscribed, you're following this podcast so you can get that as soon as it launches. But so many men struggle to emotionally relate to their partner because you don't have the same emotions. If you're a high performance man, growing a business, making money, providing, your tolerance for stress, the weight you carry on the bar, is far greater than what your wife could possibly imagine if she's a stay-at-home mother, a housewife, a woman who doesn't have the same lifestyle. What we tend to do as men is when our partner's upset, angry, triggered, when she doesn't understand us, when she doesn't appreciate us, instead of trying to emotionally relate and step into her shoes and go, cool, what is she feeling? What is she thinking? We just try and fix it because we don't want to deal with the fucking problem. And I do this too. Path of least resistance. What's the problem? What's the solution? Let's fix it. With women, most women, it's completely different. They've got different hormones. They've got different emotions, different upbringings. They don't operate the same way as you and I. And that's why we love them. That's what's beautiful about them. They're the yin to our yang. That's why I love my wife so much. So if you're trying to constantly fix your wife, if you're trying to constantly fix the problems in your relationship without first emotionally relating or connecting with her on her level, it's going to create a disconnection, which means less appreciation, less understanding on her part, less respect, less sex, less love. How do we fix this? When our partner is upset, when she is not giving us what we want, we have to figure out what is she feeling and what is she thinking. You might not be able to relate to what she's feeling or thinking. You might not agree with what she's feeling or thinking, but if you can at least understand what she's feeling and thinking, that is often enough for you to go from trying to fix it to understanding and support. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to relate to it. Obviously, don't tell her that. But if you go, I just want to understand what's going on for you. I want to understand how you're feeling. I want to understand what you're thinking. And then you listen to her response. And she won't always respond. She might say, I don't know. Keep asking over weeks, months, years until you understand her better. Once you understand her, you can ask, well, how can I support you? Not, let's do this to fix it. Okay, so what I've heard you say is you're upset that I work too late. I can see why you'd be upset about that. How can I support you? What can I do to fix that? If you let her come up with the solution for what she thinks is necessary to fix a problem in your relationships, guess what's going to happen? You've held her to a higher standard. She's come up with the solution. She's used her initiative. She's used her brain. She's processed her emotions. She's now the one coming up with solution. For so long in my relationship, I'd be upset at my wife because she'd never find the solution. I always had to fix things. Guess why? Because I was the one fucking fixing things. In our businesses or careers, If we have employees and they don't do their job properly and we jump back into the weeds, guess what happens? They build a belief system that we're always going to fix things. It's the exact same in our personal relationships. So asking, I want to understand what you're thinking. I want to understand how you're feeling. Cool. This is what I've heard you say. Repeat it back to them. How can I support you? What do you think the solution is? Empower them, empower her to come up with solutions and fix problems. And you do this enough times, you hold her to a higher standard, she grows. And when you combine these 5 things, magic begins to happen in your relationships. Let me break them down one more time so you understand them. Appreciation, respect, love, sex, intimacy, getting those things from your partner, which is so powerful for a high-performing man. Why do we work so hard? So that we can be loved and appreciated, so someone can acknowledge us. All those things come from these 5 steps. Number 1, communicating the pressure. If you're currently not communicating with your wife or partner what's going on for you, the things that happen day to day, then that means she cannot understand you. She can't understand if she's not in your shoes experiencing it. So communicate what's going on for you. Step 2, make sure that when you communicate what's going on for you, not only do you not complain, you explain how hard it is and you show up despite how challenging it is. You step up, you show up, you're cool, calm, and in control. You do this through the 3rd step, holding yourself to a higher standard, not dropping your standards, making them non-negotiable. We teach this in our Empowered Man program. Eating well, exercising, meditating, journaling, scheduling, making time to be present, switching off when you get home, holding yourself to a higher standard means you're in control despite how hard it is. Step 4, holding her to a higher standard so you can grow together. When you grow together, you grow into the future. If you grow apart, then things end and divorce happens. Holding her to a higher standard, not from a frame of judgment, but from a frame of inspiration, curiosity, bringing her along on the journey, which leads to the 5th and final step, which is being able to emotionally relate to her instead of fixing problems. Being able to know when the right time is to fix and when the right time is to let her come up with solutions. You do this by understanding what she's thinking and what she's feeling, communicating with her what you've heard, and asking her what she thinks the solution is, getting her to come up with the fixes instead of you trying to do it all the time. These steps work immensely. They've empowered my wife to be a way better mother. She's way more confident. She supports me more in the business. She understands the weight of the world on my shoulders. And she gives me so much more love, appreciation. She wants to have sex. It's changed my life. And it's also changed my business because I lead my business and my team the exact same way. So I hope this has added value to you. If it has, give this a thumbs up or 5 stars wherever you're watching. Feel free to drop a comment down below. And if you want a custom roadmap on how to implement all of this and more, if you want to win and succeed in your business, wealth, health, and relationships, become the best man you can be, then go down below and book a coaching session with my Empowered Man team to get your custom Empowered Man roadmap.